Hello, and welcome to the Pain-Free Living Summit, where you will learn how to end pain and discover the right treatment for you. I'm Renee Harrison, your host. I'm an integrative nutrition health coach, a healer, and a wellness facilitator, as well as a writer and a speaker. I've gathered together many of my own personal coaches, mentors, and influencers right here on this online event. Each of these experts will share with you what they have taught me, that you can live a pain-free life. It's my mission to connect you with as many of the mentors and healers as I can here. With me today is Katie Wilken. Katie is a Kundalini yoga instructor and teacher who also teaches essential oil use. Our topic today is living from the inside out. She has quite the story of self-destruction, addictions, and self-hatred and loathing. I can relate. So when I spoke with Katie on the phone, especially about the Kundalini yoga, because that is something that is dear to my heart, I saw that in action. I wanted to dive deeper into how Kundalini yoga can be a practice that would help us be more of the spiritual people or loving people or open-hearted people that we can be. So I'm going to be quiet now. Let Katie take it over and tell us a little bit about her story and how she got to where she is now.
Oh, well, thank you for having me, first of all. And I guess the best way to start off, to not get into all of the big pieces, when I was in my early teens and 20s, I was living a life of definitely the party girl, looking for attention and love in all the wrong places, addicted to attention from men, deeply longing for that love piece and looking for it in all the wrong places, alcohol, playing around with drugs and different things like that. All of those behaviors stemmed from sexual abuse throughout my younger childhood and the way that I was, brought into this world and grown up. But I've since changed the way I feel and speak about that. And that's for a whole nother talk. But just to, give you an overview of how my life began, it was that very end. Before I had my first child, I was living the life of Riley, I guess you could say. I did have fun. I got to go to really cool places. I was a bartender. I was really good at it. It was fun for sure. But underneath that, I was really able to hide very well how I was truly feeling, the self-loathing, the self-hatred that was going on. So there was a lot of pain underneath all of that. And, I would run away around the world essentially from my pain and thinking that would fix it, or this next adventure would fix it. And, as everyone knows, I'm pretty sure that doesn't ever work until you just stop and you do the work. Well, the universe actually gave me a really big, okay, it's time, when I shattered my knee living in Australia. I was showing off for some cute boys and jumped off a high curb and just literally shattered my knee. So I was stuck across the world, no money. And it was really, one of those moments where it's like, wow, okay, take a look around and take inventory at what is happening here. And I just knew it was a sign. I was 27 at the time, and I knew it was a sign for me to go home and heal. And as much as physical pain I was in, I was thankful for that. And so I moved home and started to heal. I just knew it was, I fell back into patterns, and then I started writing in my journal. Something just told me I was never a journal writer. All along, during these periods of self-destruction, I did know in my heart and soul that I was meant for something so much bigger. I was put here to be a leader and a teacher, and that would always kind of keep me not going to the depths of some people that have experienced what I did growing up, and the living on the streets and major addictions and things like that. So I was always pretty resilient that way. But I realized quickly when I got home, it was okay. I'm home to heal. Started writing in my journal. And, you know, I met my husband, and sort of the rest is history. There has been, you know, I have 3 little boys now, 9, 7, and 5. And there's been a lot of pain and growth and things I've experienced through that part of the journey as well. So that's a little bit about how I'm here, but intermittently, self-growth and learning was always just, I was craving to always be learning new things. And that started with creativity. I started a successful jewelry business that I ran online and locally for 7 years. And, you know, through the midst of that, I had a really big breakdown. I was also running another property management company that had many properties, and, you know, that comes along with cleaners and all of that stuff, and 3 kids and a husband that was a workaholic. So that led me to a breakdown, which we now know, like we can all see where, hopefully we can see where the breakdowns are actually beautiful breakthroughs. And my health was deteriorating. I was continually in the hospital for gallbladder attacks, wasn't taking care of myself, you know, that way. And I just had a breakdown, and I knew that I needed to either quit the jewelry business, quit something, or make a drastic change. And that is when Kundalini Yoga came into my life. By chance, there was a teacher training. I'd never done yoga before. And there's a teacher training, like, you know, 20 minutes away, and it was starting in 3 weeks, and it worked out. And of course it worked out. So that began the journey of deeper inner healing for me. And I knew that I needed to be teaching this yoga for what it did for me and what I've seen it do for so many. And it's just a really beautiful yoga. It's called the Yoga of Awareness. And as you continue to deepen your practice, you know, there's moments of triumph and moments of sadness and pure emotional pain, but it's a clearing and a healing all at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. There were so many things in there.
Yeah.
One of the things when we were talking, you were telling me just a little more insight for the people that are listening. Your course, the Kundalini Yoga course, you were saying it was the last time they were holding it. So
Yes.
It really was divine intervention, right? Like divine timing.
And it was called The Soul of a Teacher. And like I said, always growing up, I knew I needed to be a teacher and a leader. Soul of a teacher. Yeah, right? Like, oh, I just love when you look back on things like that and you're like, okay, yeah, that was meant to happen. Here we are, right? Yes. I get so excited about those things.
I know. So do I. We have so much in common, and I noticed that when we were talking, like, I have 3 sons, you have 3 sons.
Yeah.
I did the geographical cure thing, but I always brought you pack yourself every time you go somewhere, right? So,
absolutely.
Yeah, nothing really changed. It just the location, right? Yep. And I was still party girl in Europe as I was in Canada. So, yeah. And, one of the things I really connected with on your site, too, I have to read this. It makes me laugh. So you have it worded. So if you're here for fluffy, cute, Instagram-worthy good vibes only, you may have to search for a new hashtag. I'm here to be real with you about your potential. I'm here to ask you real questions and expect your real answers because I can feel them. It's a neat trick I do.
Yes, so true.
I love it. So we were just talking about intuition and, being connected and we're, just before we got on this call. So, how does that play in with when you work with people, like the intuitive side? Tell us a little bit about how you go deeper with that.
It's been a beautiful process of me owning my gifts and not being afraid of what's coming up. And not judging it, not, asking questions. When I sit and work with women one-on-one, I have to sit on the ground, first of all. Like I literally need to sit cross-legged on the ground and just be in a space where I can be a vessel. And as I'm deepening more of my practices, spiritual practices, eating really healthfully, healthily, eating well, all of that stuff. It is opening my intuition. And that is what, there's a pile of books here. So I keep looking here that I wanted to share eventually, but there's so much to opening your awareness or your awareness and your intuition with Kundalini yoga. But not only that, there's the creativity piece. In the first few talks that I gave, any of the podcast interviews that I did early on, you'll hear me talk about creativity, and that is still a huge part of my message. But that is, what is lying inside us dormant, that is intuition and feminine energy. And so I'm really good at just being in the flow and letting myself be a vessel for whatever needs to come up. Sometimes I'm like, how did I just say that to you? I didn't know that. Or like, should I have said that? But I just go with it and I trust. And so many women are just crying. And yeah, it's a really beautiful process.
So conduit comes to mind. You're a conduit, for the information, right? For the highest good of all.
I just got goosebumps. That must be real.
It's truth. Yeah. When you feel it like that, I call them truth bumps, right?
Oh, that's beautiful. I might steal that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
There's so much that I can just go on and on. Oh, you were going to share some books with us too. I love sharing resources. So,
okay.
Yeah, gift us.
I'm going to just share a couple books that have really touched my heart for Kundalini yoga. I don't know if you can see this.
No.
Okay, so this one is called Meditation as Medicine.
I'm writing these down, taking notes. Medicine.
So this helps with pain in your body, in your physical body, mind, and spirit. And when you, here's the thing, if you want to heal something in your life, there's that commitment piece, right?
Yeah.
And not being too harsh if you fall off for a couple days, and really having that self-compassion is something that I often teach with the women that I work with, is self-compassion. So, getting into some of these, so Meditation as Medicine, The 8 Human Talents. But I always have trouble saying her name, but you can see it here. She's been doing Kundalini for over 30 years, taught and learned. She was a student of Yogi Bhajan, who brought it from India to the Western world. So you'll learn a lot about your chakras and different areas of healing through that. Beautiful. And then a simple guide to the yoga of awareness. So this also has, some actual kriyas, so what they're called in Kundalini yoga, instead of like a yoga set or whatever, it's called a kriya. So that is also a really beautiful book, just to give you a few resources if you are curious about getting into that yoga. And I know I said this to you before, I'm pretty sure it's the only yoga I'll ever teach. I'm so in love with it, and inspired by what the transformations are and how simple. The beautiful part about this yoga is that there's so many short recipes or short breathing exercises or meditations that you can do in your everyday life. You don't have to set out an hour. You can sit in the bathroom if you're stressed out at work, put your arms up, do, an ego eradicator, do your breath of fire, and really root in it. And it moves the emotions. It moves those things that are blocking you. And so that's where this yoga is powerful for someone like me. Obviously, I told you how busy and like my life is. That's, everyone in today's day and age lives a busy life. So when you can have these pieces of, these pieces of wisdom you can bring with you and share and use easily, I'm all for that.
Oh, definitely. The human body, I believe, is made, it's created to move, right? We're not supposed to just sit in an office chair. Like I do a lot of sitting, behind the camera here every day, and hours, and I have to do stretches in between. I don't have a practice at the moment like I used to have. I used to have fabulous. I just love this teacher. We were doing a yoga Pilates flow, as I was telling you on the phone, and it just changed my life and my health and my, physical strength, and my immune system just became like unstoppable, and I didn't get sick, and it was like a whole winter I went without feeling cold and chilled, and it was fantastic for my body. And I think there are a lot of different ways to practice yoga, and there are a lot of different teachers out there because we're all different. We're bio individuals. And so we're drawn to what we need at the moment to heal. And I'd say over the last 20, 25 years, I've been drawn to many different methods, right, and modalities. So Tai Chi was one of the ones that I started with in the beginning, right, that very slow movement. But I needed that because the life I was living at the time was fast-paced, 50, 60 hours a week, and I was just really brutal. I was not, talk about self-loathing. I was really pushing myself, right? So, I think there's different times of your life when you need different types of exercise, connection, healing, and, just having that awareness. You and I were talking about having that awareness, right? You wanted to jump in?
And just listening to your body. I mean, that I always say the body is like a tuning fork. Like, she'll tell you what she needs. And when you listen, sometimes, like, I love to dance in the middle of my day. That's one thing, like, in my Google Calendar at noon, it's like nourish and dance and, take a break. And for me, dancing and that movement of, circulating that energy has been such a beautiful practice that I've started to do. And of course I want to teach that now. I'm like, can I just teach a dance class where I just teach people to just close their eyes and move to the music? I think that'll probably be something I teach soon too. I mean, we just all get so stuck in, not really moving our body differently. And so, I could go on about that too.
No, I love it. I think actually you've given me, I'm going to put that down too.
Yes, set an alarm on your phone.
That's what I was going to say.
Okay, people, this is something that I love to do too. So in the morning, I have 3 different alarms. So the morning, reminds me to check in with my calendar and check in with myself. So that's like after the kids go to school. Again, this is all, using your tools of awareness and reminders because we're all human, right?
Yes.
And then the lunchtime one is nourish and move. And then around 2:45, when I have to close my laptop and be mom, I just move a little bit, grab my oils, breathe and center, and then hop in the minivan and grab the kids. And so then I'm like, I'm ready. I really try deeply to leave the work here and then be present for the boys. And that's really helped, in all areas of the home. Yeah.
Oh, I love that. You've got some of the best healthy practices and habits that I've heard. This is amazing. It'll really help me because it's a reminder. I had a couple years ago, I think, I had what was called a mindfulness bell. And it was a time when I was just speeding through, like you, I had 4 different jobs and my business, and my 3 boys were a lot younger, and hockey and schedules, and it was crazy. So I put this mindfulness bell, and it would go off every hour, and it would remind me just to breathe.
Yeah. Right? Like we need that. We totally need that sometimes.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah. That's going to be my free gift at the end of this, which is, we'll get to that later, but that's something I want to share with your people, is my routines and how that has changed my life. Yeah.
What a beautiful gift. Awesome.
Oh, yay. Thanks.
So before we get into the details of that, is there anything else that you'd love to, you have a burning desire to share with us?
Well, what's on my heart and my truth that I'm living these days, and anytime I'm talking or sharing, it always just has to be my truth and what I'm continuously learning. I feel like I'm always a student, but the thing that keeps coming up to me always, especially in this day and age when women's voices are rising, is that you have a choice. You know, you always have a choice to live a life that doesn't feel aligned, that doesn't feel good, that you're not moving, you're not taking care of yourself, you're short-tempered, all of that, like really out of alignment energy, you're rushing all the time. You have a choice to not feel that way. And through these beautiful practices and all these awesome guests that you're going to be sharing, you'll have so much beautiful information and value to then make a new choice around how you want to be in your life and live your life. And the new language that I'm really sharing with my community is being a leader of your life and living from the inside out. And I fully believe that every woman is a leader. Mm-hmm. We're leaders of our households. We're leaders in communities. We are the nurturers. And as our voices are rising, I think the courage level and the understanding of what is possible needs to rise as well. So that's been my message, and the thing I'm always jamming about these days.
That's awesome.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, as we are in the same group as well, learning our speaking presence and so on. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's something that it's new to me to be in front of a camera and to be, video recording and speaking. But there's this, like you were saying, like I can feel the shift, and I see so many women stepping into their power. And we're just in a really informative age, I think, for women coming up behind, right? I mean, I'm almost into my 50s, and as I'm, I'm not saying I'm stepping aside by any stretch of the imagination. I think I'm actually just stepping into, my own power, right? And so I guess what I want to say is, it doesn't have anything to do with age. It really has everything to do with receiving the information and the gifts, and then having the courage to step into them. And you did mention that.
That's a beautiful reflection about age too. I mean, I don't even know how old I am half the time,
That's a good place to be.
People ask me, and my husband was like, "You're actually like not that old yet." I'm like, "Oh yeah, okay." Like I just don't know anymore, and that's okay. I like being there, but it's never about age. It's about like that acceptance of your gifts, and it doesn't have to look like being an online entrepreneur or a speaker or a yoga teacher. It could be being an amazing grandma who gets to be creative and make crafts with their kids and letting that joy circulate. I mean, it takes so many different shapes and forms, but
yeah, it's a good thing to say. And actually, it's the first time that it's been brought up. We're more than just the label of this or that or the role that we are. We're how we show up, the presence, the essence of us. How we give ourselves permission to be. Like, for example, before coming on this, I was giving myself permission to be, passionate and resourceful and knowledgeable, and, all these things that I think that I embody. They're my descriptors of myself.
Well, you are. You're doing an awesome job.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
This is such an incredible vehicle to, display so many different people, so many different messages, right? So I'm just loving it. I'm having so much fun, really jamming it.
Sign me up for doing all these amazing conversations. I mean, it's inspiring me to create something like that. I mean, it's beautiful. It really
you go,
is.
Girl. Can't wait to meet you in person.
I know, right? Hugs, real hugs are like my favorite thing ever. I'm such a hugger, so watch out. Yeah. Okay, so we're having such a good time here. We're actually at the end of our time, which is fantastic. I love it. I love being able to fill up the time and stuff. But Katie, if you would, could you let everyone know where they can find you, and what is that wonderful free gift offer you're about to give us? Yeah, for sure. Well, I'm on all the social medias, so Katie Jane Wilken on Instagram. I love Instagram. I share a lot of Instagram stories, real life stuff. Like I said, no cute hashtags. There are cute hashtags, but for the most part, real life. I mean, life is messy, and I would love to share that when I'm inspired. So Katie Jane Wilken there. Katie Wilken, Soulful Life Coach. You can find me on Facebook, or even my personal profile, Katie Wilken, katiewilken.com, all the things. So pretty easy. Know my name, you can find me pretty much. And then the free gift that was coming up through my heart to share is an outline. I like to call them tiny books. The ebook thing, I'm like, let's just call them tiny books because that's super cute. I'm going to create a little tiny book of like my morning routines and how I really keep my awareness and presence moving through my day, being an entrepreneur and a mom and all of that kind of stuff. So just some really awesome ways that I wake up in the morning and that I live, that I find women are really drawn to learning about. So I feel like that would be something that I could share really beautifully and fully for your audience.
Awesome.
Does that sound good?
Yeah, very good.
Cool.
And I love the tiny book. I might steal that.
Right? It's so cute. Like ebook is just ebook. It's like boring. I love tiny book. So yeah, feel free.
Yeah. Oh, awesome. Yeah. I used to watch a lot of Dora with the boys when they were younger, and there was always, swipe or no swiping. Well, we're totally swiping. I love it.
Yes, we are. I love it too. Thank you.
Thanks, Katie, so much for joining me.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
Awesome. We'll see you soon.